Welcome to the show, Be Inspired. I'm Michael Patton.
And I'm Tina Patton.
And we are your hosts for the show today. Today we have joined with us Kenon and Suntanna Anderson. Pastor Tina and I married them some 6 years ago, and they have had a successful and healthy marriage. Today we want to discuss and we want to talk about putting the sizzle back in your marriage. Kenon and Suntanna, welcome to the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
We're so glad to have you, and as well, we're so glad to hear the success that you've had, as well as being newlyweds. In a sense, you're 6 years into your marriage now, and certainly our audience would like to hear a little bit about you and your marriage at this time.
Well, I'm Suntanna Anderson, like you said, born and raised South Bend, Indiana. Played basketball, went off to Xavier University, graduated from there, and now I'm back here.
Sure.
Married and raising our 4-year-old daughter.
Right.
I'm Kenon Anderson, my lovely wife. Been married 6 years. I'm also from South Bend, Indiana. I'm a local, well-known barber.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Yeah. So how's it gone for the two of you? You've been married a little over 6 years now. You have a daughter as well, and so your family has grown and expanded itself since we last have been together and as well married you. How's that gone?
It's going pretty well. We have our ups and downs just like any other marriage,
Sure.
but I think that, you know, as long as we keep God at the head of our household, then we can beat anything.
Sure,
Very
sure.
good.
And Keaton, we talked about that even during the time of counseling, that marriage comes with some challenges, and certainly as your wife has made mention of, you all have had some challenges, just like my wife and I have had some challenges. No one's exempt from that. But one of the things that we shared with you all was how to address conflict with conflict resolution solutions. How has that worked for you?
For me, I deal with conflict. You just gotta be real careful of what you say.
Sure,
And sometimes it takes time before you speak.
sure,
Sometimes you gotta hold your tongue, think about it, don't speak too fast.
sure.
Because sometimes you might say something, you might really don't mean to say it,
Right,
but it just comes off because you might be angry at the time.
right.
And you say it, and it can be real hurtful. I mean, I could say something to her, she might forgive me for it, but she'll never forget what I said.
Sure,
So, and me personally, dealing with conflict, I don't like to, how should I word it? I don't like to argue and fuss. I don't like to yell. I
Right.
feel like you can get the same results at the end by just communicating about it. You don't have to yell and fuss about
Sure,
it.
that's
Because at
key.
the end of it, if you yell and fuss, the problem gets solved, but you got an attitude in the end. You turn your back at the end.
Right.
And if you just talk about it, I mean, at the end you can kiss, hug, make up, I love you,
sure.
and go on.
No, that's
And
one.
those have to be the favorite times. The kissing and the hugging.
Well, you know, time has really flown. I didn't realize that it had been 6 years already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about, you know, you were single for, of course, a long time, and then you dated for a while. How was the transition for you from being single to now being married? Is it different or is it the same? What do you want to tell our audience about the differences between being single and married?
Me personally, I always tell people, because you know, right after you get married, everybody always asks the question, how's marriage like? And me, what I always tell people, they look at me funny though, but I always tell people, it's just like yesterday. Because I always promise myself, when I get married, the day that I got married, I'm going to treat my wife the same as yesterday, the day before I got married. So, it's still the same.
Wow.
Get better.
Okay.
Sure. Sure.
The transition wasn't very hard for us. I think a lot of people get the wrong idea about marriage. They kind of go into it thinking about the changes that they need to make. But I think you should make those changes before you even consider marriage. So that way, when you do go into marriage, from a relationship into your marriage, it's not much that you have to change, or So we just ourselves. We haven't changed much, and I think that's probably why we are so successful. We don't let the word marriage define our marriage.
Sure.
We defined our marriage.
Great.
And plus, we were best friends before we got married. We still are best friends. And we started off real young. You know, she was a freshman in high school, I was a sophomore. And me personally, going through that, I believe young love can be positive because me personally, I think it can be greater because the older you get, the more you get set in your ways. And trying to go find love when you get older, other than when you're young, once you get set in your ways, it's kind of difficult.
Sure.
So when we get set in our ways, we set in our ways together.
Sure. Yeah, excellent. So when we look at marriage, I believe marriage comes in different dimensions, especially when we talk about having a healthy marriage. Can you share with us some things that you feel are important to have as a dimension in your marriage, i.e., for example, support, conflict resolution, as well trust? What are some things that you would say are important to you or as well to our listening and viewing audience?
I would say trust is definitely a big one. You have to have that trust in order for your marriage to be successful. You have to trust your mate 100%. Support is a big thing as well. I do in our marriage. You know, I support him and whatever he wants to do. He supports me. Conflict resolution. It is important. I know that in our marriage, if we have a conflict, I kind of would like to just blow it off and deal with it later. But he's a little bit different. He wants to deal with it at that moment.
Sure.
So that has taken some getting used to for me because I like to, like he said, I like to think before I say the wrong thing.
Sure.
Whereas he likes to, when he if it's something happened, he wants to talk about it right at that moment.
Yeah.
So that's been a little bit of a challenge for me, but it's something that I'm still currently working on.
Sure. Yeah.
Then we talked about this a little bit in some of the counseling that we did, but I want you to let the viewing audience know. I always say, what was it that made the hairs on your arms raise when you saw him or you saw her? Let us know if I can't get a little personal. Let us know what it is that brought the two of you together, and why you decided that marriage was the best thing for you.
You mean what brought us together from the very first start?
When you first laid your eyes on her, you said, "I gotta have this woman for my wife."
Actually, it kind of just happened. And then when you hear a lot of people say they looking for love, and I always tell people, love, it doesn't have a face on it. You can't go out and you can't just find love. And it just kind of, it was strange because it just happened. It just happened, and we became friends and went from friends to lovers, and hey, we got so close, and it was time to make that decision.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just something about him. We actually shared the same gym class. That's how we kind of connected during my freshman year. It was just something about him, and then as time progressed, of course, as teenagers, you go through what you go through.
Right.
But as time progressed, I think one of the biggest things that stood out kind of for me is he was patient.
That's love. That's good to remember that.
He didn't judge me. And it was, in high school you have so many people around you trying to influence you to do other stuff. One of the things that kind of stood out for me was he never made me choose between basketball or being with him. So he stood by me from high school to college. It was a struggle, but he's still here. So he's taught me a lot. Definitely how to love.
Yeah.
With him being my first love, I mean, like I said, you go through stuff as a teenager, but he has stuck by my side, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, we're talking to the Andersons about putting the sizzle back in their marriage, and as you can see, the sizzle has always been in their marriage, and we just really want to inspire all of you that are married to really listen to what they're saying and listen how they're showing their love and support to one another. We're going to be right back with the Andersons.